Hi everyone, I'm Laura. I'm the CEO of VMV Hypoallergenics. We're here to save the world's skin by making the safest, most proven, effective care on the planet. And we do that by omitting or removing as many as possible of the top contact allergens from our formulations. At this point, there are 109 that have been published by independent sources. And we have a grading system called the VH rating system, which looks like this on all our products, right there. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. And it shows how many of the allergens, how many of the 109 allergens are absent from the formulation. If there's an allergen in there, it is marked by an asterisk and then underlined in the ingredients list so that you can see if it's one of the allergens you've patch tested positive for, because if not, then you should be able to use the product. The way we prove efficacy is through clinical studies, majority of which are randomized, double-blind, evidence-based studies, many of which are published in peer-reviewed journals. At this point, we have over 80 or so, and our founding dermatopathologist, who is my mother, has over 200 or something like that. A lot of it related to VMV and the products that we make. Today I'm doing another installment of The Skinny, where I get into VMV products for specific skin conditions in far more detail. And today I'm going to be talking about our Illuminance Plus line for hyperpigmentation. The way we normally do this is a little bit of information about hyperpigmentation. So this would be melasma, which are sort of dark blotches and spots that appear seemingly out of nowhere in a random pattern. And then things like post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, which would be dark spots or dark lesions that appear after an inflammation, like an insect bite or acne or a rash. Things like pigmented contact dermatitis around the area where you wear your underwear or where you wear clothing. It may not even be preceded by an inflammation that you notice, like itching or a rash. It could just darken gradually over time. This is also a type of hyperpigmentation. Hyperpigmentations are notoriously difficult to treat. There is an ingredient called hydroquinone, which has been really dramatic, really effective, but it is highly irritating and has had a history of causing ochronosis, which are sort of these blue-black lesions, which can be even more difficult to treat. It is a drug, so don't self-medicate with hydroquinone. Definitely talk to your doctor if that's something that you're interested in. If you're considering laser or phototherapy for hyperpigmentation, again, be extra careful. See a specialist. Especially for people with darker skin tones, it can actually backfire and cause more hyperpigmentation if someone's not used to dealing with lasers for darker skin tones. Whiter skin tones might be more at risk for certain things. Skin cancer is sort of the big one that pops to mind. But darker skin tones can also get skin cancer, and it can be more dangerous because we're not taught to look for it as much. So for darker skinned people, some of us may not use sunscreen as frequently, and then may not be watching for observing our moles or observing little hyperpigmented spots for darker skin tones. Even like little spots near the nails and stuff can be a warning sign of skin cancer. So certainly it's something to look at. But darker skin tones, and that includes me, a very pale brown woman, mixed race, our bigger concern is melasma. We're very prone to dark spots from post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation, but also just melasma from exposure to light and the sun and photoallergens in the products that we use, and airborne photoallergens like chlorine and things like that. Definitely we're going to talk about prevention first. Because hyperpigmentation can be so difficult to treat and reverse, we need to really double down on prevention. So we'll start with that. VMV is nothing if not prevention for hyperpigmentation. Starts with the most basic stuff in your shampoo and body wash. We would recommend, for example, Essence Clark Wash or Super Wash. These are the travel sizes, but they come in larger sizes. And they're allergen free and photoallergen free. So is Essence Conditioner. And the reason we talk about this is because Ingredients can sort of trickle down onto skin, especially with sweat. So it's really important for skin that tends to hyperpigment to use even the most basic care without allergens or irritants. And remember, a lot of allergens are also photoallergens, which react with light and can cause darkening. So we'd start really with the most basic stuff, which is shampoo, body wash, conditioner. Another big note on prevention is the makeup that you use. If you use makeup that contains common photoallergens like fragrance, dyes, preservatives, this can be a real issue. I'm just going to show the concealers now because this one in particular, it's called Red Alert. It's Skin the Bluff concealer in green. The shade is called Red Alert. The concealer is called Skin the Bluff. So green would be great for sort of redder lesions. We have one that is yellow. That's called No More Blues. That is good for purple, more purple tinged hyperpigmentation spots. And then the concealer is great for several reasons. You want to embrace the concept of layering. So a crucial part of prevention is using sunscreen both indoors and out. On a day like today where it's sunny, I'll get UVB, which is a concern, but UVB does not penetrate windows or windshields, but UVA will. And when this cloud's over, I'll get UVA as well. And you want to use sun and light screen indoors also because, again, UVA comes through the windows, but gadgets, like a computer, cell phone, this is blue light, it's visible light, indoor lights. Indoor lights are visible light, and visible light is known to cause or worsen hyperpigmentation. So does infrared. So if you're cooking a lot or in a sauna exposed to heat, infrared is also known to cause hyperpigmentation. So it is absolutely crucial to use a sun and light screen, both indoors and outdoors, every single day, whether or not you apply an active ingredient. And ideally, the sun and light screen is tested for UVB, UVA, visible light, and infrared rays. On top of that, there's a concept called layering that a lot of dermatologists like, which is after using your sunscreen, you apply makeup on top of it. And it really functions like having a shirt and then a sweater and then a jacket. It's additional protection, additional barrier against sun and light. So after using a sunscreen, using the concealer and then your foundation is actually a good thing in this regard if they don't have your photoallergens. A note on unbuffered glycolic acid and the pure kojic acid that we use. Many active ingredients being naturally irritating, it's how they work. And one way to mitigate that is to have less allergens, photoallergens. Another is to have a cleanser that is pH adjusted. Another way is to use sun and light screen daily, both indoors and out, and to use prevention overall. What other formulators might do to mitigate the risk of irritation is to use either a lower percentage of the active, which might affect efficacy, or use a higher percentage of the active but in a diluted or buffered raw material. We want to keep the efficacy, so our raw materials, our actives, are unbuffered, less diluted, much more pure, and we mitigate the risk otherwise by lessening allergens and photoallergens, by being extremely careful about instructions for usage, by including a sun and light screen, so you use that every day, by focusing on prevention, and by having a pH adjusted cleanser. Going into illuminants in particular, the line has a cleansing cream. I'll show all of this later in detail. Toner. Then it has an antiperspirant for axillary darkening, face, hand, body lotion, and our treatment creams, all of which come with an Armada sun and light screen. The Illuminance Cleansing Cream is this. And why it's important to use this while you're using this line is it is pH adjusted. Again, these active ingredients tend to be irritating and they tend to be more acidic. That's not a bad thing. The skin is naturally slightly acidic because it has an acid mantle, which is important for its protection. The skin is slightly acidic, and when you're using an active ingredient, it tends to be more acidic. That's fine. It's sort of your skin is living happily in this little area. But then if you use a bar soap, which usually has very high pH levels, then we start getting into a problem because the skin has to adjust between two extremes. Bar soaps in general shouldn't be used on the face in particular because the pH level is way too high for the skin, which, as I said, is slightly acidic. So the Illuminance Cream Cleanser is pH adjusted to be slightly lower in pH so that the skin stays within 1 pH range throughout therapy. After you shower, after your conditioner, we'd actually follow with Illuminance Axolite. This is used. Apologize, it's personal stash, which is great for axillary darkening, which happens in the underarms, and it tends to be a post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation or a pigmented contact dermatitis. So you would wash your body with, say, Superwash or Clark Wash, and then you would use Illuminance Axolite on the underarms. And you would wash your clothes in Fawn and Launder, which is a hypoallergenic laundry detergent we make, or even in your Superwash, just dilute it. And it's great for your intimates, your bra and underwear and stuff like that. After your cleanser would be the Illuminance Brilliance Toner, which is already the active part of the regimen. And it has unbuffered glycolic acid, it has kojic acid, it has a compound of 7 tyrosinase inhibitors, which prevent the overproduction of melanin. It has antioxidants. The toner is great after your cleanser. And here's the key thing. We're extremely careful about showing you how to begin application of these active treatments. Here is an application frequency guide. And as you can see, you would only do this, for example, once or twice a week in the beginning, very, very slowly increasing to every other day, to every day, once a day, eventually by week 8, no earlier than week 8 of therapy, getting to twice a day applications. After the toner would be your treatment creams. I'm going to show you 2 right now. The First Brilliance Treatment Cream, Moisturizer, and then the Face Hand Body Lotion. I'll explain this in more detail, but here's what happens. When you are using the treatment creams, which have the higher concentrations of unbuffered glycolic acid, kojic acid, the tyrosinase inhibitor, you can't use this every day right away, right? As with the toner, there's very strict instructions to follow where you do this basically just once a week and then twice a week and then every other day, etc. You don't get to once or twice a day until at least week 8 of therapy. So while you're still building up in application frequency, you can use Illuminance Face, Hand, Body Lotion. And as the name implies, you can apply this all over, face, hand, and body, which is great because then you have the pigmentation, the brightening therapy on your hands and your body and your neck, etc., not just your face. So that's what this is for. It can be an interim cream while you're increasing, while you're increasing application frequency of the treatment creams. Once you're already at once or twice a day applications of the first brilliance, you would then start the advanced brilliance, which is higher concentration of the actives, and you would restart at the beginning and go again very, very slowly increasing. Each of these things, that's why they're so big, contains a travel-sized, if you open it, so you have the bottle in there, it's gonna fall. You have the bottle in there, and then you have the little tiny tube of Armada post-procedure barrier cream 50 plus. And I brought the bigger one here so you can see it. This is a purely mineral physical. Sunscreens are erroneously called different things. So if they have chemical sunscreens in them, they're more correctly called organic sunscreens. These are inorganic mineral physical sunscreens. And they really are tested for indoor and outdoor light, visible light, UVA, infrared. This has to be applied every single day, both indoors and out, whether or not you use illuminants on a given day. They are thicker on purpose because it's not just a sun and light screen, it's also a barrier cream, which is, again, going back to that concept of layering, a physical barrier against airborne photoallergens and other contaminants to help your brightening therapy along. So that's it. In summary, a lot of allergens are photoallergens. You really want to look out for fragrance, dyes, preservatives in your hair care, in everything that you use, in your makeup certainly. And then Illuminance uses unbuffered glycolic acid, kojic acid, 9 tyrosinase inhibitors, and antioxidants in order to prevent the overproduction of melanin. But hyperpigmentation is really difficult to treat, so put more emphasis on prevention, which includes sun and light screen daily, even when you're indoors, even when you haven't applied illuminants on a given day. Of course, as with most of our products, illuminants contains monolaurin as well for added anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial protection. So that's it. That is the skinny on illuminants and hyperpigmentation. I hope you found that helpful. Please remember to write in the comments any questions that you have that maybe I didn't get into, and I can answer those here, or any other questions that you have about skin or our products or anything you'd like us to really deep dive on into about skin or products. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and Instagram, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and please do share this if you think it might be helpful to someone. And I certainly hope it was helpful for you. Thanks very much. See you next time.